Alright, today we're going to be looking at creating different roofs using SketchUp. We have 3 here that we're going to look at, and if we have time we'll get to a door and some other stuff. Alright, so first is roof. Just grab your square tool. You can reference the corner if you want to make the exact same size. Type in 20 feet by 20 feet. There it is. Now, normally you think, well, you got to pull it up if it's going to be 3-dimensional, but that's not the case. Instead, what we want to do is find the exact center like this one is. So I'm going to use my tape measure, click on one corner to the other one, just like in geometry class, right? Here's our center point. So then I'm going to take a line and draw it straight up. I know it's straight up if it's on the blue axis, not the green, but on the blue. I know it's 10 feet up. I already measured it. There we are. And now I just need to connect the corners. Once I connect a corner, once a plane is all set, you can see that it fills it in. So then we just do the rest, do the same for the rest. I just need to connect these points and this point. And there it is. So that's basically the same thing. Go ahead and color it in any way you want. Just use your paint bucket on the right side of the screen. By the way, these guidelines, you can just highlight them. If you click right to left, you can select them and delete them, or you can click right on them. So there we go. That's that one. Pretty easy. And again, you can just grab your paint bucket and go with whatever you would want it to look like. All right, next thing. This one's a little different. You can see it's kind of slanting one way, but it's flat on this side. So I would actually draw it in the same way. I know this one is 20 feet wide, so I'm just going to reference this point, draw a line 20 feet. All right, and then I can just continue to draw. I know this one. Again, I can reference this point, but I already know it's 20 feet, so I'm just going to type that in. Make sure it's on the green line if you're typing it in, though. 20 feet. There we are. And referencing this point, going down. There we go. So we got the base. Now, you could draw a triangle like I have on the back. That would be fine. Instead, I already know this one's 10 feet up, so I'm just going to grab it from the midpoint, and I'm going to go up 10 feet. There we are. And then connect the points down. Just give us the back side. And I no longer need this point. It's already a straight up or flat object, so I can delete that point. No longer need that. And then I can draw from there. So I'm going to come out from this point 10 feet. All right, and I'm going to connect those points so it fills it in. There we go. So now we have that type of roof line. Oops, looks like I went a little high. Maybe it was only 8 feet. You can go ahead and change that the way you want to. Now this chimney, though, this is really the trickier part of it. Just so we know, it's 2 feet by 2 feet. All right, for the base of it. If we measure the side of it, we can see that it's like 2 feet 6 inches, but that's because it's on an angle. You got to measure the top right here. It's 2 feet by 2 feet if you get the right point. There you go, 2 feet by 2 feet. So, and it's 2 feet up from the base here, and which is also 4 feet over. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I'm going to grab it. I'm going to go in. Oops. Let me undo that. We're going to go 4 feet in. All right. I'm going to go 2 feet up. Oh, I'm sorry. It's referencing this point over here still. Let's try that again. Go 4 feet over, then 2 feet up. And now you want to actually, it'll say on surface, or if it, there we are, 2 feet up. So we got this point here. So that's our starting point. So that's great. What I'm going to do actually is, instead of measuring the base along here, I'm just going to go straight up from this point. So I'm going to be on my blue axis. I'm going to go up 2 feet. All right. Oop, it's not 2 feet. It's 4 feet. 4 feet. All right. And then at that point, I'm going to start. See, it is actually straight up, even though it looks like it's on an angle, maybe from this point of view. Then I'm going to draw my square from there. All right. So I could use the square tool, but it's not going to really work right. So I'm just going to use this. I'm going to go, I want to be on the red line here, do 2 feet. I'm going to go over 2 feet. And I'm basically making a square on the top. 2 feet. And back to the beginning. There, I have a surface now. Okay. Now what I can do is I can grab these points and then drop them down the surface. So I'm going to grab this back one, and it says on face. It's 2 feet exactly, but it's on face. I'm coming down to the ground. Same thing over here. I'm going to go down until it says on face. Right there, on face. Great. And I can connect these as well. See? So it gives me this little looking thing here. And I'm going to grab this point and bring it down to on face. And then I'm going to connect those points as well. There. That gives us our little chimney. But mine's a little fancier than that. All right, so I have a hole in it, and I also have this beveled edge, I guess you would say. All right, so let's look at that. Okay. So what you can use is the offset tool. It's this one right here. You can click the edge and then go in, and I believe I go in like 4 inches. Let's go with that. And then I just pull this down. You can just keep pulling it down until you don't see it. And there it is for that. Next thing I need is the arc tool, and I'm going to arc down 4 inches, all right, and then out. It needs to be a half circle. It's a 2-inch bulge, all right, and there we go. And now it's just this ringlet, right? So I need to connect it with another line tool. So I'm clicking here and there we go. And then I just need to follow it around. Don't do it on the corner, do it on the edges, all right? So now I'm just going to take this and go around the edge and then back to the beginning. And there you go. Looks pretty good. And that's it for that. Okay, this last one's a little more tricky. If you have this one done, you can go ahead and grab it and rotate it and use that one. See, right now if I rotate it like this and I move it though, it's kind of stuck in there. So make sure when you rotate it, you have enough room. So I'll probably take this and move it off to the side even more. And now when I rotate it, I shouldn't have a problem. When you rotate this, you also have to grab a flat surface. The only flat surface on this is the top of the chimney, or you can go underneath and do it that way as well. So there we go. Okay, so if we're looking at this one here, you can see the back end is about right. So that pretty much all set. We just need this area to jut out. Okay, so if we measure this one from the tip of this point down to the ground, all right. It's not doing it right for me. Oops. And you can measure it out. If, like for example, if you draw a line and bring it out on the green axis, then you can measure the point from here to the ground to see how far that is, and it's 4 feet. So on here, I'm going to grab from the middle and draw 4 feet up. And I know that's where the tip is coming out here. So I can just take that point and draw it to the corners, because that's what this other one does. And there we go. And then I can pull that one out. Okay. So I'm just going to start pulling this one out to the same distance as this one. All right. So I have that. And then also you can see this is kind of like set back in there, right? So what I can do is if I measure that point to that point, see, that doesn't really make sense, but I know it's 1 foot. Okay. So if I measure this, I can go by 1 foot. Just type in 1 foot, and it's actually not on an axis, which is fine. And I'm going to draw straight down from this point and grab that point right there. And I want to keep on this line. All right. Same thing with over here. I want it to be parallel, so I'm going to go on the edge here. All right. See how that looks now? And then I can push this one in a little ways. So it kind of gives us like overhang effect. All right. And then same thing over here. I can measure this out this way, 1 foot, and I can do it for this edge too, 1 foot, and I can just draw those lines in, and then I can push this in as well. All right, so you can reference this as well for that. All right, so that's looking pretty good. The window, I'm going to say go ahead and try doing it on your own. I think you're all set. If you get this far, you should be sitting pretty good. The window, I just want to keep in mind that it does stick out a little ways. Okay, should be helpful. Last thing I wanted to mention on this one is when you go to attempt to do this window, draw it all flat first. Do this bottom part. It's just 1 inch and 1 inch out. And then for this arc, just make sure the arc is 1 inch from each side. Draw the other arc, and then you just need to connect these lines. Okay, and then have some that are glass and some that are wood, and you should be all set with that one. All right, hope this helps.